We just had a fake hello.
It was a good one too.
I know. Sometimes we're like lame a little bit, and sometimes we're really great.
It was a very enthusiastic hello.
We're Studio R12 Stencils. I'm Patty.
I'm Kari.
And today we have a lot of things to show you, but the most important thing is after we get done introducing you to some new things and some old things, I'm going to show you how to paint with varnish. And yes, I mean paint with varnish. So you're going to want to stick around for that because it's going to be super, it's going to blow some hippie noodles straight out of the water.
And I want to do a quick shout out. We have two brand new viewers with us today, Rhonda and Donna. Welcome to Rhonda and Donna. Thanks
Rhonda
for tuning
and Donna,
in.
how did you hear about our live?
Yes,
very interesting.
Rhonda says I'm new and I've watched a couple of your videos, so it sounds like she may have found us
on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah, that's exciting. Welcome. So if you are new here, we go live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and on YouTube. We share some really cool things.
We're all about DIY, and we're about how to like painting hacks and creative hacks and things like that. We use stencils almost exclusively because we are a stencil company, but you learn to wet sand and you learn to control color, and you learn how to use your brushes, and you learn all of the painting hacks. So this is for everybody, even if you don't use stencils. Welcome anyway.
And I think today's lesson is going to be one that people who may not use stencils yet could find very helpful. Card making, journaling, scrapbooking, all of those things. So if you have any friends that like to do that, be sure to tag them.
Yeah. And the subject today is going to be about background words, and I'm going to show you an example of a really big one. Okay, so this is ginormous, but what's neat about this? Am I on this camera now? Where do you want me? Okay, we'll stay here. But this, an example of this is that each one of these words. This is grateful. This is feast. This is a saying. Jive turkey. Jive turkey could be a card that you send to your brother-in-law. You know, you can just mask off the saying that you want to use. So each of these stencils is like 20 stencils in one.
Yeah.
I used a section of a creative stencil, a background words creative stencil, to do the project that we're going to do in a few minutes with painting with varnish. And I just used a section of the stencil. So you can use pieces and parts of the stencils. The reason that we have so many word stencils on Studio R12, and we have 6,000 plus titles, and I bet 4,500 of them are word stencils. Because people cry when they have to paint words. They cry. Like, I mean, they throw a fit, they stamp their feet, and they cry. And the reason they do that is because to do this, if you were going to do it freehand, number one, your handwriting better be good. Number two, your brush control had better be good. Number three, you have to trace the outline of the whole thing onto a tracing paper. You have to transfer it onto your project by tracing it again. Then you have to base it with fine motor skills and base it in. And then if you make a mistake, you start over. So words are tough because they're so exact, and to make them beautiful really takes graphic designing skills and stuff like that. Like I know my other generation, my mom's generation, had this beautiful handwriting. They used their shoulder to do the handwriting, and their handwriting was gorgeous. But still, painting handwriting would be very difficult. You'd still have to write it out first, plan your spacing, plan how much white space you have. It's a difficult skill set. So that is why we do so many words. And I love word art. That is like my passion. So that's why we do all that.
Yeah. And today, so we have a huge sale going on today, and it's really kind of like everything but the kitchen sink.
There's a lot of kitchen sinks.
Our background words, our single stencils of background words are 30% off. We do have background sets of multiple stencils. Those are 70% off.
Whoa, yeah.
You're getting pretty much buying one stencil and getting a set.
Yeah, and so what we want to do with a sale like this, so like there are times, we actually have a new surface we're going to introduce you today, and we have made it into a steal of a deal because we know you're going to want to paint with more and more and more stencils. So it behooves me to get the base unit into your hand. And with the background words, I know that this is going to help you. This is going to be something that that makes it easy for you to paint, because I know from experience the pain of doing words and lettering and stuff like that. Once I could stencil, I didn't go back. I didn't go back from words at all. Yeah.
And then we also have, do you want to show off our project for today?
Yes.
We have a new project for today. I shared some pictures with you guys, but because of our fun new project, we also put some fall stencils and some surfaces in our sale today. And we've also made a brand new kit that has background word, the fall stencil, and the pumpkin on this.
Yeah.
So we have a new kit today.
So what we have going on here is we have a fall shape, and this is one of the lessons. I'll talk about that in just a second, but we've used foil, a coppery foil on this project to make it just a really kind of a pop of zing, and then a really tone-on-tone background word, which is the one I was just holding up. So that's this guy. And I did him big. You can scale the smaller ones by, you know, taking once this ends and then move this over and then just scale it doing a layering kind of process. I was being lazy and I was just like, give me one big enough to cover this pumpkin.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, that's my guilty confession. And then this one, we took the background words, the same, they're the exact same stencils, the exact same shape. I did do them in reverse apparently. But this one I did it in all kinds of multi-tone, and then I did a wet sand, and I did a crackle, and then I did some antiquing. So this is a completely different look than this, but they're the exact same project. Yeah. So that's just kind of fun. So you can take this and you can make it into whatever your style is. If you get stuck looking for style, get on Pinterest and search pumpkin shaped signs for my door or something like that. Just use your search words and you will find so much inspiration. And or you can just look at false signs on Pinterest, and then it's going to give you this kind of thing where it's distressed. It'll give you this kind of thing in metallics. It'll give you something else in bright orange and all of that kind of stuff. So if you just get on there and search and then find a color palette, you're allowed to take color palettes without any ramifications. They can't copyright that unless you're McDonald's or Ohio State University. Yeah, they do have a copyright color. So, but you are allowed to say, get inspired by colors that people use. If you see something pretty and you're in the craft store, whatever, take a picture of it. Don't do that at craft bazaars because they will kick you out. But anyway, but in the craft store you can. Okay, so those are our two projects. And I don't know that I have, though, yeah, I do. Okay. The interesting thing about what we did with this project is this stencil, but what we did with it is we used a background word, that big one that I showed you, and you can use that over and over and over again. Our stencils are reusable and durable and all of that. Unless you fold a stencil, in which case it's a little bit hard to recover from that, the stencils will last you until you're not doing this anymore, you know what I mean? So anyway, this is the middle section of this stencil here. So I didn't use all of this other stuff. So you can pick and choose out of your stencils and it makes them a whole nother piece.
Well,
so,
and with this one, you could even use the apple, the cider, the hay rides as backgrounds.
Yeah, super, super fun. Yes, absolutely. And then on your other, say you wanted to put a fall leaf in the middle, you could totally surround the edge with those words, put your fall leaf or your pumpkin. Scarecrow face, oh, that'd be cute.
Super cute.
Yeah, so, you know, whatever you want to do in there, so you don't have to paint this, and you could just paint this. So it's neat how flexible the stencils are.
Absolutely. And we have a new series that's being released on YouTube this week. If you didn't check us out on YouTube last weekend, I did the top 3 biggest mistakes that stencilers make while they're stenciling, and then we give advice on how to not do those mistakes. Yeah. And it's been a really good video. This weekend on Saturday we are releasing part 1 of our new series on our jack-o'-lantern porch sign, and we love this one.
Okay, this is so fun. So we divided this into 3 steps. Step number 1 is going to be how to prep this surface, how to not have the knots come through, how to sand it, how to do all of that, prime it, base it, all of that. That's really a lesson all on its own. If you want to do a tall porch sign, you want to watch that one because that will apply to every single one you paint and to other lumber that you use for other things. Even if you're a DIYer, you want to check this one out. But then we get into the, we do the lettering and then we're doing the pumpkins separately, right?
No, the lettering and pumpkins are on part 2.
Okay.
And then part 3 is going to be how to seal it and varnish it to keep it on your porch and protect it from all the elements.
Once I film the thing, I leave it in their wonderful hands. So I don't pay attention to what happens after it. We schedule it and I just don't look at it again. But the neat thing about this pumpkin, that's going to be in 2 weeks on a Saturday that you can see it. And make sure
it'll be Wednesday.
Oh,
so we're gonna. So this one we decided to do a Saturday release.
Okay, good. So it's quicker.
So you will get it all within 1 week.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I would like that. If I wanted to, I think this is the cutest project. I would want that. So yeah, that's really cool. But when we're doing this, we're going to show you how to get the glowing faces. So you're going to want to know that. And then you're going to want to know how to protect your surface and stuff. So that's all coming up next week. So starting Saturday.
Starting Saturday. And then we are going to have a brand new kit for this as well. This was
not including the wood.
Not including the wood.
Those tall porch signs are so hard to ship, so we don't even try.
And we actually have had a lot of requests lately for 4-foot, and this is a 4-foot one. So all of our 4-foot porch sign lovers, this is
and then don't forget you can reverse those and paint on the back side. So that's what I love about tall porch signs. And then you can go to your local hardware store and just request that wood cut for you. And 6-foot lovers, don't forget that you can stand that on a crate and put a little pumpkin stuff in the middle, and then it'll get it up to the height that you want it to be at, or you can hang it on, the wall. So there's a couple ways that you can handle that.
I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Linda asked, I just purchased an antique brown chalk paint wax.
Okay.
Do you apply that first, then stencil?
Anything that's a wax, you want to apply it on top. So you would apply that, the wax is in. So I don't paint with, and it's a chalk paint, right? Yeah, I don't paint with chalk paints, only because I didn't catch on to that craze. It's just not, I don't have anything against it. Everybody's projects are beautiful. I just haven't needed to go there. The waxes get applied after to tone the colors. That's what I use them for with acrylic paints. I'm presuming any kind of wax underneath your water-based paint is going to be a resist, and the resist is going to make the paint peel up later. So you put that on top, it will protect and tone as well.
Okay.
And then we're going to do some prizes and giveaways.
Yes, make sure.
We don't have examples to show you because we're going to surprise
they're going to be a surprise to me and Patty and our manufacturing department and our shipping department and you when you get them. But make sure you are commenting and asking questions on YouTube. We will just pop in a message and say, hey, you won, send me your email address. And then on Facebook, we've been going back through after and popping in your inbox. So make sure you check your inbox.
So we have been busy. We're going to talk about how you use background word stencils, and let's get started.
We can get started.
One of the things that we do with the background word stencils is you can use them for individual small projects, and I feel like that's the most basic. It's not a background word at all, but you can make a little card, a thoughtful memento, something like that. This is using our frame stencil and using one of the words from our background stencil for Christmas and just glittering that, and then that is a really simple application. So when I first started painting, I was a pattern painter, meaning I would take a pattern. I wasn't an artist that made my own thoughts and drawings. I learned from other people's stuff. And when I started, I didn't think that you could enlarge or shrink things. And to be fair, everybody didn't have a household copy machine. You'd have to go to the library and use theirs for dollars and dollars or whatever. So it never occurred to me because I didn't have the technology, but this is so cool that you can just use a piece of a stencil. So that might blow somebody's hippie noodle just right there, because you don't have to use the whole background words, okay? So that's a very basic thing. And then I want to bring up another thing that you can do with background words, and let me show you how many we have. And what's neat about these, and I feel like this is important, that these are not brand new to us. We didn't just create these. We made these when we first started making stencils because I knew I wanted to do this faded words and backgrounds, and I'm going to show you examples. But we have wine, and we have Thanksgiving, and we have more wine. We have Spanish or Italian words. We have Easter. We have Frankenstein and Halloween, and we have garden, and we have what are you? Oh, laundry, and just regular food, and then we have this spring poem. I believe this might be the one that I was looking for yesterday.
The garden poem.
Is that the garden poem? Okay, so that was the one I was denying was the garden poem. So then we have winter. There's and then we have them in sizes, and then there's Christmas, and
that's the one that I used on that card.
Yeah. Okay, so there's the joy word right up here. So there's all these things on there, but you can use just one little word. Okay, and then we get into sizes, and then
sets,
and then I want to say today is Prime Day, so we are. What is our date today? 7/12/22. Tomorrow, Prime Days ends on Amazon. We have a whole bunch of affiliate links, and I'm not saying this for any reason. The amount of money you get from an affiliate link is ridiculously little, and our things are affordable. So there is no money being made, it's pennies. But this punch, to make these into a book, this mesmerized me the first time I did it. Rusty, can you get a little close up on here? These are little rings, and this thing punches like a little pin, a little pinhole kind of thing in the stencil, and then you can just pull it out, and that's what was punched. And then it makes this into a book. And this is such a great storage way, and they just pop right back in. Okay, these are really big, so they flop around. I don't have enough stuff in here. And then this has got a lot of weight. Look at how good this is at holding, and like this is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So this is not something I practice to make it not fall out. It's just something I show you guys whenever I show you. But these are magic, and I love that you can flip through the book and it organizes your stencils. And I wanted to show you, I went ahead and you can make them color coded. And when you color code the book, then you can know that these are my everyday stencils. You can make a pattern book, you can do whatever. When I was first doing stenciling and we were manufacturing them, I had a cabinet behind my painting table, and I stacked them up over and over, and then pretty soon they would cave over on the floor, and I wouldn't have any system of organization, and they just made me nuts, honestly, because it looked crappy. And then these, the curtain rod, and I don't think you can get that because I've got this blockade in front of you, right? So the curtain rod that we've shown you before, he's getting in there. This is upside down curtain rod from IKEA that we have put underneath a shelf and then suspended. This works really good, but we put like 2 or 3 stencils in each little hooky thing, and then they fall out and fall on the floor. So it's good if you do one by one. It's a little bit more expensive. And then these little disc binder rings, expensive. And then these little disc binder rings, they're on Amazon, and they come in all these great colors and sizes. I just got a big bin of a ton of colors. I think, whatever, how many in one box. What did it say? 160 pieces in one box for like, I don't know, $9 or something. Anyway, but it's Prime Days. And so these are affiliate links, the black mat that we painted on. We've got this brand new organizer for all the things. I noticed when we started introducing our finer brushes, in Persephone's head over there, if we put the scissors in there or something heavy, then it was crunching our fine brushes. The dome brushes are durable whatever. You don't even have to be careful. You just lay them on their nose and they'll be fine. But these finer brushes were getting damaged, and so I needed something that would get my tools all at hand and organized, and I really like that.
Yeah.
It's brand new. I've had it for about a week. So
while we're talking about stencil storage, Janice asked, what is the best way to store round stencils? So we currently have...
Such a good question.
We currently have one hanging on the wire rack, but we have also punched round stencils with the hole punch. Yeah, it really just depends on the stencil.
Wouldn't work very well. So that's a really good question. I don't really have an answer for that. I would say maybe an answer is to know that you're going to have one thing that we do use over at Boardroom, that's our painting retail shop. We use little, are they J-hooks?
I believe so.
Yeah.
We've been calling them like C-tabs, but I think they're actually called J-hooks or vice versa.
Yeah, it's a plastic sheet that's cut in a shape that has a piece of sticky. So you can put that on there. The problem, I would worry if it would rip that. Mm-hmm. So I would worry about that. So I haven't stored enough of the rounds to do a thing. I wonder, so that's where you're torn, right? I would like to hear you guys like sound in on that, because would it be better for you? So for me, I like it to be the shape of the size of the thing that I'm doing, but I have a manufacturing company, so I can have my wood always be the shape of the size of the thing that I'm doing. Or would it be better to put the round stencil in a square shape and not have it be a round? So sound off. I want to hear about that, because we can change everything we're doing based on what you guys are saying here today, and we take what you say super seriously. I want to deflect so I can get this off the table. The palette paper became unavailable, and it's my favorite thing to paint with. I love palette paper. It just is so easy to use. The paper plates are fine, but they have edges and things that get in my way, and the palette paper became unavailable. So we have big long scraps that we save. We actually save these, and a couple times in our manufacturing world, supply chain problem things, this has saved our bacon. But we sell so many tall porch signs, and then we forgot for a small time to pair a discount or something on something that's smaller that fits in this. So we just collected a big pile, and it was like, well, that would make a palette paper. So I take a sheet like this, cut it down into a palette page size, and it gives me a couple of them. And then, or in the video, I think on the river, which we don't have here, we took it to get pictures taken.
The lake.
Okay, lake. Yeah, the lake one, we use this as a straight edge. We used two of these side by side and made a straight edge like a giant masker. So this is the last day. If you place an order on the website, this is the last day that you will get one of these free, completely free. It'll come to you. If you have an envelope really rolled up, just let it unroll and let it flatten out. But if you're in a package, it'll be loosely rolled. But anyway, last day for that. So I just wanted to make that announcement because they asked me about it today. So many things to talk about today. Okay, we talked about the punch, so we're gonna get rid of that. And then let's talk about how you control paint color when you're using background words, because you don't want to use background words willy-nilly. Like, it really takes a little bit of thinking, okay? So I'm going to show you a couple of examples. I'm going to use old examples. These are a couple years old, probably 4 years old. This is a little kitchen sign that I made. And if you notice on here, what I did is I used a tone on tone. And you could use, and actually a project that, well, no, I didn't actually. I did it on the pumpkin. Pumpkin is another example of tone on tone. I was like, wait, did I paint? So this is another example of tone on tone. So I have a dark brown paint with a black color, and in this case, I have a purple with a black color. If you squint, you almost can't see the words. So that allows the artwork that I wanted to have the attention go to be the thing, but this allows this to be almost like a tray or a frame or a mat board for the project that I did. Okay, so that's one way. So you can control background words by doing tone on tone. So really close colors, they're right close to each other. And then you can make them be part of the project. Okay,
Excuse me, I've been holding that in.
So in this case, I also did tone on tone, if you notice. This is a blue on a blue, and then I use the white snowflakes to kind of jazz up the edge and give some emphasis. The white brings the white in from my snowman. Sorry, upside down, I'm like having a hard time. Anyway, so it brings my white in and it bounces that color around and brings your eye around. But this settles because it is tone on tone, but it's a brighter tone on tone, and it's in the theme of the color. So if you were doing fall, you might pick orange on orange. I did blue on blue because blue is cold and chilly, right? So that's why you would do those colors. So sometimes you might pick the color based on the season you're reflecting. And then sometimes you would pick the color based on the color, like wine is purple and grapey. So in this case, the item that I was reflecting on, which was the wine project. Okay, and then in this, oh, nope. This one is one of my very, very, very favorites. Okay, so this goes back to our cookbook and tablet stand. We featured these a few weeks ago, and this one is unpainted, but this one is painted. What's neat about this stand, now I don't know about you guys, I'd love to hear also from you. When I'm in my kitchen, I love to cook, and I love to, I don't love to do dishes, and I don't like to do the drudgery stuff and all that. So when I'm in my kitchen, I may not be looking at a recipe on my tablet, but I might be watching YouTube, or I might be listening to music, or I might be whatevering I'm doing, but to have it in a stand so it's off the darn counter and I can see what's going on is kind of neat. So while I'm dicing my onions, I can have the message that I'm getting from my YouTube channel about gardening or whatever. Anyway, so this is a tablet cookbook, book stand, whatever you want it to be. But what's neat about it, watch this, is that shape comes out of there. And now if this had a tab on the bottom, I could pop in a fall, or I could reverse the coffee and make it a different kind of coffee sign. And that just pops right back in there. And, but I love this. So in this case, these are background words. I've used these background words as the focus. So the background words are the art. And so that's really funny that nothing that I've said so far has made the background words the art. And then, but wait, there's more. I've got such a big stack of things right here. Okay, so in this case, I did this project all in a bunch of colors, just like I did here. But in this case, what I did is I did a single dusty layer, and then I sanded through them so you can kind of not really read them very well. And then that way my main message would pop off. So I made these be behind and then made this be forward by contrast. So this is super light, this is black, you know, so that is how you can make the background words be part of your projects.
There's so many.
So many questions?
No, just so many people are loving the
it's
different
amazing.
options.
Yeah. When you start thinking about it that way, when you realize that this is the art, it just hippie noodle, right out from there. Okay, we're gonna put this down, and then I love these cookbook stands. And we thought we lost Coffeeology. It's literally one of my favorites. But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
But wait. So what I love about this is just I think it's the colonial shape. There's one that's just flat across it, but all of the panels for this fit, and they're reversible on here. So you can paint this a plain black, and then you can go through a lemon phase. You can go, right now there's the big phase for the cows and the cow faces and the some of that stuff. You can do a fall thing, you can do a Christmas thing, you can do a Christmas cookies thing, you could do a birthday one. I love when you can reverse, and they're flat and they store in a drawer, so they're super storable, but I love that you can just make them into whatever season you're in. One base, one surface, done. Love that. Okay, let's talk about this project right here.
Before we move on real quick, a couple people are really excited about the Coffeeology project.
Yes.
We don't currently have the Coffeeology listed as a surface, so I will work on that. Since we couldn't find it, we kind of held off on it.
Yes. It was in a box labeled coffee.
And 3 of us looked.
Three.
But I will work on getting that listed this week, and then we will post it on Facebook and to let you guys know when it's listed.
Yeah, the Coffeeology, that's my favorite. Okay, so I want to talk about these guys right here. This is a project that I did maybe a year ago. I think it's about a year. And what was fun about this is I used a very light application. So I just dusted with a very high contrast because I want you to see the words. But then I did a foil fork and then I warmed up the words at the bottom. So this word is part of the stencil, but you can take one word and you can warm it up or cool it down. Okay, so that's what I did here. And then now I want to introduce you to the new surface that we have.
Woohoo!
This is super cool. So we have had the surface on our other website for a long time. Let me grab the things.
But we made some upgrades and some changes to make it better to release it on our
So we call this an anyway tray. So it is a rectangle tray. On one of our channels, we had one of our male employees stand in the middle of this tray to see if it would be strong enough, and we took a picture, and I think that's been 10 years ago. This has been around for about 10 years. But it was made to replace a metal version that became unavailable because supply chain problems have been a problem for a long time. But it had a bunch of scroll work cut into it. Where we've moved away from like Tuscan and things like that, and we're moving more into this boho and the farmhouse and all of that kind of stuff, we wanted to streamline the tray surface to make it just simple. And so this is brand new, and this is just a rectangle tray. It comes to you in pieces and it ships flat, and that is the basic tray. And it's super, like my hands fit in it without any problem. And I don't know about you, but I carry things down my stairs. I have a tri-level house, down my small flight of stairs to the outside patio to barbecue, and I'll have my plates and my napkins and my silverware and my forks and cups and all kinds of stuff on trays. So I'll take 2 or 3 trays downstairs, and sometimes I use cookie sheets, whatever. But to have one that was painted in your everyday, my suggestion on this surface is to paint this piece with whatever your everyday message is going to be. Your kitchen is in lemons, make this be your lemon thing. Or just put like a welcome message or something like that on. Just make it your everyday. But this is what makes the magic. So I took the inserts. So it's very much just like this cookbook tablet stand. This comes with panels that you can flip over and you can store, and they make great placemats. They're amazing. So this just drops right in the tray, and now your tray becomes a different piece of art. So you can do whatever the thing is that you want, and then you can reverse it and make it into a different season. I'm gonna flip this over and flip this out. Just drops right out. And then if you had this on one side, that's your kind of everyday. And then this is one we showed you guys the other day. Let me get this on the back.
Right when we started talking about the tray, our friend Kelly asked if the Santa cookie tray stencil fits in the tray. My response was stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
But yes, it does.
So yes, here is a Dear Santa. So you can take this and you can flip that over and you can have your Santa cookie tray on there, and then you can pop that in the tray, and then when it's not the season anymore, flip it over to another thing that you want to focus on. You could go fall to Christmas, put this in your Christmas box or your fall decor box or whatever. Make it just a little drawer, storage tote, whatever. These are super, super storable. You can stack a bunch of them. We did this measurement years ago. I think you can do 12 in a 3-inch box or something like that. Like a lot fit in one little tiny box.
Jarita says you're blowing my hippie noodle.
Woo, woo.
Donna said, fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Rhonda loves the tray idea. Gigi loves the tray idea. Donna said, that's clever. So we
Love
have, Vicky says, yay to the tray.
Yay to the tray.
And
I love
I'm
it.
going to go ahead and preface, you guys are going to see more of the tray coming soon.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun ideas coming with
We
the
have
tray.
so many, and it really is like, so legitimately, we've had this for 10 years. So for those of you who don't know, my husband was my woodworker for years and years before, I'd say probably for 15 years before we ever bought a laser. And so I would come up with these wild and wacky ideas, and then he would be like, let me see if I can figure it out. And then he would do the thing. And so, original trays, he'll conceptualize them and do all this stuff and then send it into manufacturing and all that. So we've had a lot of fun making functional pieces for your life and your kitchen, your house. So,
and I have an announcement. We almost forgot to tell you guys. We have the tray, since we are announcing it today, on July 12th, 2022, at a wonderful introductory price.
Yes.
They are normally $30. Today they're $15.
$15. Okay, so this is the reason.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
And then
Go.
the insert is normally $20. Today it's $10. So they're both marked down to 50% off today.
We want you guys to have this because we are planning on using this a lot because it is so functional. Dinner plates fit on this tray. So when you put a stack of them on there and all that kind of stuff, like everything fits. Super durable. A 200-pound man stood on this. That's a good test.
Yeah.
And so really neat. Now you do need to know this comes to you flat. So it's IKEA packed, right? So you have to put it together yourself.
Put it together, then paint it.
Yeah, and you could do it the other way. What you're gonna wanna do though, if you put it together and then, if you paint it and then put it together, stay away from the tabbed areas or be prepared to sand a little bit to make it fit. So you've just gotta be prepared if you do paint it earlier. So that's just something to think about. What's he doing?
Sounds like he's click erasering over there. And I was like,
wait.
I hear that.
The click eraser is like a fidget spinner.
It's the adult version of the fidget spinner.
Okay, so that is our anyway tray. But we know that there are 12 seasons. We know that people love to have options when they're doing decor and stuff like that. You can even actually stack probably 3 or 4 of these on the surface itself without it taking out your handles. So that's kind of neat. And you could put a fruit bowl, you could do some other things. Elaine was gonna use hers for craft supplies and organizing that kind of stuff, so it could be a great desk organizer as well. There's a lot you could do with it. And then the other thing, I'm gonna say the last thing about this, then we're gonna paint with varnish. You're welcome. I hope that's blowing people's noodles just before we even start. I think that's just a neat concept that is like, what? The other thing about this is if you like welcome signs for your door, if you, anything that you buy a stencil for, probably not the words, but anything that is welcoming, pumpkin scene or any of that kind of stuff, can be used to make your door sign as well. So this shape is super universal size. So the stencils that you use for this will work for a lot of other projects, which is kind of fun. And one last thing. These are skinny background words. And let me pop this guy out of here. Okay, so notice skinny words, and then notice that this is way bigger than this area. Okay, so what I did is I chose where I wanted to start and stop, made my spacing even, and then I put the fork and the spoon in there and I leafed those, did my different color here. But what's neat about this, on this project, they take up the whole background. On this project, I used them twice to create the flow of the thing and then used the accessory pieces to go with it. So, like, don't think of your stencils as individual things. It's a really neat thing to be able, and imagine tracing, transferring, basing in a light color, keeping your lines perfectly straight, doing all of that stuff I said at the beginning. Imagine the control. So that is why these exist, and that is why we have so many of them.
And we had a comment about one of our viewers said that she has a hard time getting out of the box of the stencil.
Sure.
So later today, so keep your eye out on it and I'll share. I'm going to make a new playlist on our YouTube channel.
That's a good idea.
Where we
Combo.
pull out parts of stencils just to kind of get your mind thinking that way.
Right, and that's what happened to me when I went to a craft show, and there was this big trend. Everybody got scroll saws. Scroll saws were the laser of the day. And so all the men were buying scroll saws in 1980 something. And this one woman was super famous for doing microscopic little scroll saw pieces. Like she had control. Scroll saws are a pain in the butt because if you want to do something in the middle of whatever you're doing, you have to drill a hole and then drop the blade, and then you have to hook the blade up, and there's quick changes and stuff like that. But there's a lot more to it than you think. And so this woman was working hard for her money, but she took a puzzle that was like a Noah's Ark puzzle that was like this big, and it had little puzzle pieces that fit inside it. It had a little hook cover. I'm not painting a very good picture, but she shrunk it down way down to here, or it started way down here and somebody grew it and made it big. I'm not sure which way that went. But the point is once my brain accepted that, then I could think that way. And so I think that's the way it is with all these background words. These have been around for probably 4 years. They're not old stencils, but they're classics, like the little black dress. And they will work for your project today, yesterday, tomorrow, forever, because you can control these elements. So color, contrast, pairing them with your fruit or whatever you're doing like that. So you can really make an interesting background. They use these a lot in interior design. And that brings us to the next thing where we are going to paint with some varnish. So let me show you what we're gonna do. So in design, if you had a wall color that you really liked, but you really wanted just a little shoes, just a little something, something going on, you can take it and you can stencil with varnish, and that will create just a little contrast, a little bit of shine, a little glimmer of something, and it makes it super subtle. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So let me show you where we're going with this.
And our inspiration for this, I had a notebook on my desk the other day, and Patty's like, oh, we could do that.
Oh, yes. Okay, so this is a journal. And so, all right, I'm going to try to do this so that you can see it. This has been painted through a stencil with varnish. It's super subtle. It's super subtle. And then I did the inside, and I did this one with metallic. Okay, so these word stencils can be used in so many ways. So you can just do them with varnish. So let me show you how to do that. We'll do the front. Grab my stencil. Okay, so we're gonna use ink sweepers today. I do like this little deal here. It's on like a masonite base, and these cups are removable and stuff, but it gets my ink sweepers from the back wall to here. It gets these polyfoam brushes out of my drawer. It got my brushes, my fine brushes, separated from the other things. That was getting me nuts. And then with this one thing, I did have to make it into a customized thing. I took a Pringles can and chopped it up so it would make the brushes stand up a little higher and taller. So that was the one like tweak I had to do. But it's been good so far. Okay, so we are going to use a gloss varnish. This is DecoArt's DuraClear gloss varnish. I'm gonna shake it up and pour some out. With your varnishes, to get a matte varnish, they put a matting medium in the varnish, and that makes it slightly muddy a little bit. Gloss is going to be your clearest, satin's going to be next, and then matte's going to be less. But if you do have a matte, you want to make sure you shake it, because that matting medium tends to settle to the bottom, and so you won't get as matte a finish as you want, because all varnishes start off here. So we're going to go there, and then we're going to take an ink sweeper, and I want to show you these ink sweepers. I was thinking about this today. We've been having some conversations about weird events in the history of our company, and I used to do trade shows all the time. This little guy, this is what they look like, almost new. Okay, so this little guy has been around the bend over and over and over again, probably 8 years old, and he's still flexible, he's still awesome, and then he's like the same, he feels about the same. But you can use these for basing, you can use them for stenciling, you can use them for smearing color, you can use them for blending. There's a lot of things you can use these little guys for, and they have a little handhold so that you can hang on to them easily. So these are super amazing, but I laughed at, we said this one had a suntan. Okay, so then I've got my dauber. This is a jumbo dauber. They're made out of the same material. They're just a different shape. So when I need something, for example, I want to do something that's maybe a little bit longer and skinnier spacing, I'll go here. But if I'm doing this whole thing, I'll use the fatter one because I want to cover faster and quicker. Okay, so I'm going to start with our dream. This is what I also love. Who asked the question about getting stuck with being inspired about a thing?
I don't remember.
Okay, so whoever you were that needed to know how you can be inspired to change things, sometimes you can do what I did over here, which this is not the current layout of this stencil. I moved the dream and then used that space and filled it. So that is super fun to do. Okay, so
Janice asked if this will work on wood.
oh yeah. And you can also stencil with stains. So you can, like, all the things, like you can do the chalk paint, you can do the stain, you can do through these like words, through all the stencils you can. You can use your foil, like I did on the words on the fall project. You can do foils, so you put the sticky through the stencil and then let it dry and then put your foil on top. That's amazing to do. So stencils, you could even, okay, so if you're a quilter, so I'm just gonna go there for a hot second and we're gonna get out of there and I'm coming back to the land of what we're doing. If you're a quilter, you can stencil with chalk dust on here and you could quilt these words using like a free arm style thing. You can also use our stencils on cookies and you can use them on cakes. So they're food grade and all of that stuff. So you are not limited. So if you do any of those things, okay, I'm done.
Well, and
I'm gonna stop talking for a minute.
Well, as we open that can of worms, we do have a video on our YouTube channel where one of our local bakers came in with us and she stenciled on a cookie using our stencils. So we do have a tutorial on how to do that.
Yeah, it's a big trend right now. Okay, so we're gonna evenly space this little dream word right in kind of the middle. Sometimes I use my fingers to space, and then a lot of times I'll use the evenness of the bottom ledge. I'm always gonna tape in 2 places. And if I don't have another place to tape, then I tape through a word or another hole. Okay, and that's gonna make it kind of, yeah, my book is moving, but it's gonna make the stencil controlled. I'm gonna use a dry jumbo dauber. I'm gonna go into our gloss varnish, and I'm going to not quite offload, I didn't tear any of my paper towels up. After I get going, I'm gonna wanna use a paper towel, but when I very first start, I don't want to. But I'll show you what I do. Okay, so we're gonna go into the paint, and then we're gonna come over to the side and just daub it off just a little bit, just kind of mush it in there. And then we'll come over here, and I'm gonna hold that down, and then pick up more.
Joyce said, what a lot of good information today. We've had a lot of comments like that. Today is a very jam-packed.
You don't realize what there is to it until you start thinking about it. You know, I've lived with these stencils for 4 or 5 years, and I've had to think all the things through. I did a bunch of the projects I showed you earlier were in magazines and stuff when magazines still existed. Okay, so I get that word all done, and then I just land that right over there. I love that they just kind of stand on their little nose and I don't have to worry about it. Lift this up, and then you can see that now we have stenciled with varnish.
How cool.
Like
it's just so easy. And
it's just amazing.
I love it.
Yeah, it is incredible. I do absolutely love it.
I do too.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you one more thing, which is how to fit the stencil together. So I'm going to give this a blow dry. And Kari, you can just type to people and talk to them that way while I'm doing this.
That's okay.
Okay. All right, so yesterday when I was playing around with the journal, I love the idea of doing this on a journal because you could make this for a friend. I think this journal was $1.99. It was a really affordable price at the craft store. I picked them up in a couple colors. You could have them on hand, and then when somebody's having like a birthday, you could have your like inspired stencil, like this one's got create and believe, and it's got like the Lord is my shepherd and love will find a way. You've got all these really inspiring things. And so you can make an inspired little gift. You can tie a bow around it and you can give that as that gift. And how thoughtful would that be? It blows my mind how thoughtful that would be. Okay, so we're gonna take our tape off. Hope you guys are getting inspired.
Absolutely. And we already have people buying trays.
That tray is gonna not be that price for how long? It's just, how long is it?
We haven't decided that yet.
So you have a day or two.
Yeah.
Like, so action is, do the action thing. If you want it for cheap, we're doing it because we know you're gonna love it. Okay, so now I'm gonna use the laugh with me out loud and the sing out loud, laugh with me out loud. Ha ha ha. I did that on one of these sessions. So this just happens to fit on this shaped surface really well. Now I want to try to stay out of the binding area. That's something that I did have a struggle with. I could not have the Lord as my shepherd over here. I really want the Lord as my shepherd. So let me see if that's going to be in there.
While you're down on that one, can you give me the SKU for that stencil, please?
I can. It's CMBN 547.
547, and it is.
Is it 8 of 10?
Yeah, I think we have an individual one for it. I'll look for it.
We have a lot of sets. A lot of sets. Okay, let's see if we have this out of. Yeah. I'm out of the dream. That sounds terrible. Hello. Not out of the dream anymore. Okay. And so now I'll switch to my ink sweeper because he's long skin. I don't need to. Okay. So now I'm getting a little bit more saturated on this dauber, so I'll come over here and just give him a light press on the paper towel just to get rid of excess. I don't want to bleed out under everything. Okay, so I'm going to want to stay out of here. So you can tilt these daubers this way and it'll make that little edge less. I also did, when I was doing this yesterday, I did one of them with a couple of coats, and I did like the couple of coats. One of the things with stencils, I'm going to show you a little hack. With stencils, if they lay over the edge like this is, Rusty, can you get right down here? You can see this Y is like lifted up. So I'm gonna put something of equal, another book or whatever, to keep that propped up so that it doesn't bow. If it bows, the weight of it makes a channel where you wanna be, and you don't want a channel. No channels today. Okay, and then we go through the rest of them, and that took care of the problem. So make sure that we are about ready to release our colors and our brands and a conversion chart and all of that. We need about 100-ish more people to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yep.
And then we release that to everybody. So do your part, subscribe, ring the bell, do the things. It means a lot to our analytics and all of the things that YouTube judges us on, like such judgy pants. So help us out, and then we will hook you up. So did we get any hippie noodles blown by
We've
painting
had
with
a
varnish?
lot of hippie noodles blown.
Pew, pew.
Tons of inspiration. Sandra asked, does the varnish wash off the stencil?
Well, no. I don't know. So the reason my answer is like my answer is because I'm a stencil manufacturer and I never wash my stencils.
We will.
Fair. I will try it on this one because
we will watch this one and let you know.
and then if I'm at work, my sink isn't as easy to use as my sink at home or in my studio. So we had a flood at the studio like 6 years ago, and I was unable to keep painting there, and it took like 1.5 years and blah, blah, blah. So I've been painting at work ever since, and so my habits became a little bit different. But I am a stencil manufacturer, and I don't need to wash my stencils because I can get another one cut if I want it, if I use it too much. So it's different than if you're at home creating with these stencils. So not a fair statement. But with varnish, it seems like it's so much thinner than paint. I don't know that I would worry about it. But I will definitely try it because I need that answer now. I appreciate that question because now I need that answer. So we will put that on Facebook and let you know. Okay, so I'm making sure that I have everything done. I noticed today, I was washing yesterday's brushes today, and I had like 6 jumbo daubers inside the thing, and they were just kind of floating face up and floating face down. I tried to sink them down in there, and I noticed when I was washing them that they all washed out perfectly. And I think that once they get like saturated, they just kind of stay wet. And so I haven't had a problem with throwing any of these away unless I just simply don't put it in water. So just FYI on that. Okay, so we'll lift this up and ta-da! Okay. And then there is our cover with our words. It's really hard to show on camera. And then the back side is done to go with, and you could put inspiring messages inside. This one doesn't have it on that side, but I'm still wet. But you can go with the same thing. You can use all your stencils. You can use bird stencils. You can do whatever you want and make it your own.
Janice asked, is it better to use the dauber, not a brush?
I like with the varnish is thin. So remembering all of our lessons with the brushes, with the dome brushes, to use dry paint. And so the varnish is not a dry paint. A dry paint's got like a little body to it, and it'll stand up in a nice little dome shape. This flattens out right away. It's thinner. So I like the dauber because it doesn't squish paint under. When you have thin paint, the dome is not your friend. So you want to use the dauber when you need to. If you want to use an ink, use a dauber. If you want to use thinned paint, use a dauber. If you're going to use just regular paint and do the regular thing, the dome brushes are brilliant. And the daubers are going to, well, they're probably going to stay wet about as long. It takes forever to dry both of them, like a day, day and a half, because they're so dense and thick. So you need to have a selection of them, have them available. You could move from regular paint on this brush to regular paint on this one, so you can use these interchange. What's that video that we did on like 10 ways to apply
10
paint?
ways to apply paint.
I used my finger. You want to watch that video. That's a good video. I used the daubers, I used my finger, we used a paper towel, we used the brush, we used the foam, polyfoam brush, we used 10 different things. It was interesting. I learned some things from doing that one. And then make sure you guys ask us questions like, will the varnish wash off the stencil? Because then that allows us to ask questions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think happy crafting and happy painting, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Yep. See you guys.